shaking. Oh, I will stand my ground. Oh, your presence is enough. You are with me. Father, you're for me. Fear will never conquer me. Oh, I belong to Jesus. I'm never alone. fear you'll never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus. Oh, fear you'll never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus. Oh, fear you'll never conquer me, 'cause I belong. Come on, speak to that giant in front of you tonight. Oh, fear you'll never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus. I know whose I am. Fear you'll never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus. Oh, fear you'll never conquer me, 'cause I belong to Jesus.
I know we have a few folks arriving a little late. You know, that's the wonderful thing about Saturday mornings. You have an opportunity to sleep in for just a moment. I want to introduce you all to those of you not a part of our church community. My name is Pastor Will. I'm care pastor here at Centerpoint Church, and we're so excited for all of you all to be here today. This is a wonderful event put in conjunction with not only with Foster All, our wonderful foster to adopt ministry in association with CP Embrace and also with Faith in Motion, but also with the many community leaders and fellowship and friends that are here today to fellowship with us and to share with us the value and the blessing that is of foster and adoption. And I can say this from personal experience, it's a wonderful journey. It is a wonderful opportunity to be a part of a healthy, or shall I say, a healthy part of a child's life. And we're so excited for you all to be here today. Just on behalf of Centerpoint Church, where we here believe in loving and leading people to a life-changing connection in Christ Jesus, I'm really excited to see you all here today. And before we get started, I want to share with you just real quickly a little bit about what we do here at Centerpoint Church. As many of you know and have kind of gotten accustomed to, we are a community-based church. We engage our community, and we also offer what we call solutions within our community. And certainly, as we look at the challenges around us with many of our children that are in the foster and to adopt programs here within Riverside County and the greater, shall we say, Southern California area, we know that the needs are many, but we believe that we are a part of that solution. And so I want to welcome you here today to not only to embrace the information that's being offered to you today, but also to look for questions that you might want to ask that will truly bless you to enter into what we call the holy fellowship of what God has for it. Because His word says His eye is always on the widow and the orphan. Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to come together today. We thank you for the fellowship of all of those that are here, Lord God, from our community around us and also a part of our church, and those from other fellowships that are here to receive the blessing that is of parenthood, Lord. And we just thank you for all the questions and inquiries that will be asked today, but we thank you for your solutions, oh Lord God, to help us navigate this process together. We thank you in all of this in Jesus' name, amen. Well, I want to introduce you to someone who I've just got an opportunity to know, but I've kind of known her in the past because my wife and I are contemplating the foster system again as we navigate the increase of our family, right? Amen. But I want to introduce you to someone who is absolutely wonderful and has been a part of everything here at Centerpoint dealing with CP Embrace, and her name is Sister Irene Kappen. Can we give her a hand? You will get an opportunity to be able to fellowship with her, but feel free to reach out to her not only during this program, but also afterwards. A wealth of information, and she can truly, truly bless you with the answers and the information that you need. Also want to introduce you to someone who is really amazing and had opportunity to just kind of put a name with a face here as well. And her name is Sister Catherine Hernandez. She is part of Foster All, and she is Director of Foster Services. So please give a warm welcome to Sister Hernandez.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Pastor Will and Centerpoint Church for hosting this event, and we are so happy to be here. And welcome to all of you for taking time out on this Saturday morning. Appreciate you coming and learning about more foster care and this special event. So we are going to break in just about an hour or so. So if there is any Spanish-speaking people only in here that would like to hear the foster care orientation in Spanish, you'll go right across the room, and then the English orientation will remain in here. But to kick off our morning, I want to introduce you to a special guest that we have with us today. Just a few months ago, she received the title Mrs. Riverside, and just about a week ago, she won the title of Mrs. USA Latina, and in December, she is going to travel to Thailand to represent the Latina community. So please welcome Carla Marquez.
Thank you, Kathy. Good morning, everybody. It is an honor for me to be here. Thank you, Centerpoint Church, for welcoming everyone into this amazing cause. And of course, thanks to Foster All, Faith in Motion, for welcoming me in here and bringing me in here to be part of what this is. I am truly blessed to be part of this movement. I can wait to have everyone getting educated in what we could do to change a child's life. I believe that together as a community we could do so much, but sometimes we don't have the correct information. So to me, just the fact that I'm here standing in front of you guys, it is a blessing. I can't wait to go out there in the community and spread the word. So I don't know if we have any Spanish-speaking community in here, pero voy a platicarles un poquito también. Quiero darles la bienvenida a todos ustedes por estar aquí acompañándonos. Gracias a Centerpoint Church por tenernos aquí. Darnos la bienvenida a Faith in Motion, Foster All, por tenernos aquí. Y como comunidad quiero agradecer y representar a todas las personas que no tienen la oportunidad de poder aprender lo que es el ser padre de crianza o también adoptar a un niño. So thank you guys. It is an honor and I can't wait to go out there and tell everyone about what's going on in here and let's make that change, you guys. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Carla. We have just fallen in love with her and her family and her beautiful daughters who are with us today. She's our champion here in the Riverside area as well. So thank you, Carla, for coming this morning. So here we are this morning, and again, my name is Kathy. I'm with Foster All, and our organization partners with faith communities across counties to find foster homes for children in need, and we are so happy to be a partner of Riverside County Department of Public Social Services here in Riverside to run the Faith in Motion program. So what is Faith in Motion? Faith in Motion is a collaboration of faith communities here in Riverside County that come together to support foster families and children and youth in foster care. And one of the main goals of Faith in Motion is to find more loving and safe homes for children that are entering into the system daily. And it's so important to know that. So we are here this morning for that. But before we get into the orientation and what does it mean to be a foster parent, and is that for me, and what are the requirements, I want to give you a little brief history about foster care. If many of you do not know, there is a history of foster care. It began in the 1800s in New York City, believe it or not. And it was by the name of a minister, Charles Loren Brace. He is known for the orphan trains. And he saw the tens of thousands of children living on the streets in New York City. And of course, he recognized there was a need. And so he's known for this quote. I'll step over here to read it. In every American community, especially in a Western one, there are many spare places at the table of life. They have enough for themselves and for the stranger too. He began finding homes for the children one by one, placing articles in newspapers, wanted, homes for orphans. Can you imagine that? The need became so overwhelming that in 1854, at the age of 28, he was only 28 years old, so you're never too young to make a difference. He started the orphan train. He gathered all the children from the streets. He cleaned them up, dressed them in their Sunday's best, and loaded them on the train. Can you imagine what those children were feeling? Where am I going? What's going to happen to me? I've never been on a train. The fear that those children were feeling. But Charles believed that the children would have better lives if they were sent to rural areas where they were fostered and or adopted by farm families who would love them like their own. So when the orphan train would arrive into town, all the children would step off the train, line up, and the townspeople would come and pick a child, pick a sibling set, pick a baby, and they would take them home. Those that weren't chosen loaded back on the train and headed to the next town. That went on for 75 years. The orphan trains operated across the U.S., and close to 250,000 children were relocated across the country. It finally ended in the 1900s when organized foster care began. Not quite sure if it's still organized, but organized foster care began. 100 years later, children, unfortunately, are still being abused, neglected, and abandoned. And we want you to see the short video.
Something happens to you when you don't belong. I can't explain it really. But if you felt it, you know. There are over 400,000 of us in the U.S. foster care system. 100,000 are available for adoption and are waiting for a forever family. The rest of us kids are waiting to be reunited with our birth families and just need a loving foster family while we wait. Without a family, without a place to belong, it feels like no one knows your story. No one really sees you. You feel invisible. You probably don't know how much we need you, but we do. There aren't enough families to love us, to help us heal, to call us theirs. And the truth is, bad things happen when kids don't have a place to belong. Every year, 26,000 leave foster care when they're grown up and still without a family. Half never even got to graduate from high school. Others end up homeless, in trouble with the law, trafficked. It's a big problem, but the solution is so easy, even us kids know it. The solution is you. So it's time you met us, time you really got to know us. You'll see. We are brave. We are beautiful. We are worthy of belonging.
And today we still need loving homes. So you may be here this morning just to come and learn more about foster care in the process. You may be here this morning because your desire to adopt through foster care and start your family. Or you may be here this morning just to simply open up your home to a child in need until they are reunified with family members. Whatever the reason why you're here this morning, we're so glad that you joined us. And before we move on, just a few phrases that you may hear throughout the morning. I can give you some definitions. When you hear the term FFA, what is an FFA? And an FFA is Foster Family Agency. And those are the agencies that have the ability to approve you as a foster parent. DPSS, you'll hear that this morning. That is the Department of Public Social Services. They are Riverside County. And placement. When a foster parent receives a child or a sibling set into their home, that is referred to as a placement. So next, I'd like to introduce to you Tiffany. She is from Riverside County DPSS, and she is a social services supervisor. And Tiffany is going to briefly explain the removal process of a child. Tiffany?
Good morning, everyone. As Kathy said, my name is Tiffany. I'm a supervisor with Riverside County Children's Services. I've been with the department for 16 years. I've worked in a lot of different areas of our department, but recruiting foster parents has been new for me, but it's very deep in my heart, and I really appreciate you all being here this morning. I know it's a Saturday, so this is a lot to ask of you, but fostering is a lot to ask of anyone, honestly. So I'm here this morning to really explain what it looks like when a child comes into our system and before they come to your doorstep. So in Riverside County, at any given time, we have about 3,000 children in foster care. So as you saw in the video, it says about 100,000 that are waiting for adoption in the United States. 3,000 of those are in our county, at our doorstep. When we do our investigations, our hotline takes the call. So we have our intake workers, they take the call, someone says, we have a concern, somebody's being abused or neglected, and we send social workers out to go and see what's going on. Most of those investigations we actually close and say either we give the family resources, we don't find evidence that there's anything that meets abuse or neglect, and less than half of those are ones that we actually remove children from their homes. Removing a child from their home is really our last resort in any of these situations. We do what we can to try to make a plan of safety with the children, with the family. We talk to relatives, see if there's someone else that can support the family. But overall, we really do everything we can to prevent that from happening. When we do end up taking a child into care, typically we have to get a warrant from the courts, which means that we have to find evidence that something is going on, abuse or neglect. We write it up into a petition, we present it to a judge, and we ask the judge, do we have a warrant to remove these children from their parents? If the judge grants the warrant, that's when we remove the children. The only time that we really go in and take a child right then and there is when someone's already been hurt. That's when they're at the hospital, there's police involved, something tragic has already happened, and that's when we go in and we don't need a warrant to do that. But typically, this is a process. We're talking a couple weeks. We've been working with the family. Typically, everybody kind of knows what's going on, like there's something going on. So what we do is when we go to remove a child from their home, we take the warrant, we take police officers for our safety, and we execute the warrant, which means that we present the parents with the information, we let them know that they're going to have court in a few days, we take the child with us in the car, and from there, we go back to the office. Once we get back to the office, that's when we're calling you. Our social workers will write up a form, essentially, and send it to our placement team. And our placement team, which are our placement social workers, they will reach out to all the foster family agencies that they know of. We always try to place with family first. So as soon as we're in the home talking to the family, talking to the children, we're asking them, is there anyone in your family that we can look into and call right now to take you? We don't want them to go to strangers if we don't have to. So we really try to place with family first. And even if we aren't able to place with family right in the beginning, we do what we can to try to place them with family throughout the life of the case. Up until a point where parental rights are terminated or a child is adopted, we're constantly looking for family. And that's a mandate from the law and our courts that we have to tell them every 6 months at our court hearings that we're trying to do this and we're trying to find family for these kids. So once we get back to the office, like I said, they're calling foster family agencies if we don't have a family member that we're able to place with. When I say family members, when we're doing an emergency placement like that, there cannot be any criminal history in that family's background. And I know a lot of us think like, oh, no problem, right? But I'm talking like a DUI when you're 20 or a shoplifting when you were 19, something very simple that a lot of us think like, oh, I have nothing, and these little things pop up, and that eliminates a lot of families from being able to take children right away. So when we're calling our foster family agencies, we present them with all the information we know about the child at that time. When we're removing children, we know that they have a lot of trauma. And when I say trauma, I know it's a word that's been used a lot lately, especially with the pandemic and everything, because everyone has trauma from that. But typically what we know about the child at that point in time is just scratching the surface of what they've really been through. So we present what we know, and we try to ask the parents, we try to ask the children, what can you tell us, what can we share? And from there, we present that to the foster family agency and say, hey, we have this kid, these are their needs, this is their age, do you have any homes that can take them in? Our hardest to place children are sibling sets, as Kathy mentioned, and that means that there's multiple siblings. The largest sibling set I worked with was 13 children, and but miraculously, when I was looking at the permanent plan for them, meaning that I'm looking at where they're going to be long-term after their parents weren't able to reunify with them, I was able to get them into 3 homes for adoption, which is in itself a miracle. One of the homes took 6 of the children in, and anyways, miracles. Some of our other harder ones are teenagers. Obviously, we all know teenagers are just difficult in and of themselves. Most of my career has actually been working with teenagers, so again, another dear to my heart. But they are difficult to find homes for. Most families want babies, they want smaller children, they see teenager and they just think, that's too much for me. So when we do find homes that take teenagers, we really try to hold on to them and do what we can to work with them and support them. Another one of our hard to place populations is parenting teens, essentially. I had a foster youth once that I was not able to find a home for, and she was 16 and she had a 2-year-old son. And it got to a point where we just couldn't find anyone that we were talking about, do we have to remove her son from her care in order to get them into a placement? But thankfully, that day, my manager called one of her friends and said, do you have a space? I have someone that needs a home. And thankfully, that person was able to step in as what we call a non-related extended family member. We call that a relative placement, but essentially anyone who's in that child's life, blood related or not, can step up as a placement. And that's where we try to do that placement with family, whereas anyone in their life or their community. Another one of our hard to place populations is children with mental health needs. We do have children with medical needs as well. We typically can find homes for them. We have a lot of medically fragile homes, meaning that they take children that have medical needs like diabetes or they're on feeding tubes, things like that. But our children with mental health needs is hard for us to find homes because we need people that are patient and understand and can really work through some of that trauma that these kids have been through. Again, what we know is just barely scratching the surface. So typically once they're in the home, that's when they start to kind of leave little tidbits of information of things that have actually happened to them. And we're looking for families that really can, put in that effort, have that patience, and just be open to hearing. Open to hearing, open to listening, and opening to being there and being consistent with them. When the child comes into care, the social worker will be checking on the child every month. I know that doesn't seem like a lot of time, but the foster family agencies also provide an added support. So the foster family agency social worker will be there every week, and then they report back to the county social worker so that we kind of know what's going on too. And then we also write reports to the court every 6 months on how the child's doing. So we'll ask a lot of questions, right? Like, did you take them to the doctor? Were they sick? Did they have a runny nose? How have they been behaving in the home? How are you guys doing with them? And have they been visiting with their families? The court process for when they are first removed, the family gets usually 6 to 18 months to try to reunify with their children. After that period of time, the courts start to look at what we call a permanent plan. And so you'll have social workers talking to you very early on about adoption. Don't be freaked out by that. Everybody kind of does. The children do, the parents do. And that initial time frame of reunification can be a roller coaster of emotions for everyone involved. Because we know that the families are hopeful that they'll reunify, the kids are hopeful, the parents are hopeful, the relatives are usually really hopeful too. And if it doesn't happen, we typically see a decline in some of their behaviors or mental health at that time because it's a disappointment. It's a huge disappointment. And then everybody's wondering what's going to happen next. So like I said, they're going to be talking to you about permanent plans and adoption early on. And that's because that's our mandate to really see what it is that we can do long term. And we always have to have a plan A and a plan B and maybe a plan C on top of that. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what it's like when the children come into your care. And I really appreciate you all being here today. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Tiffany. So yes, so that kind of paints the picture of what happens with a child. And next, I'd like to bring up Irene Capon. She is our manager of the Faith in Motion program here in Riverside County. And I think she's out visiting with people. She herself is a foster adopt mom, and she has fostered, her and her husband has fostered about 11 children or so over the so many years, and she's adopted 2 of them. And she is going to conduct our panel of foster families. So Irene?
I was outside. So if you guys want to see my adopted, they're all out there. Kathy asked me, like, do you have any volunteers for this event? And I said, no, I have teenagers. Put them to work. So I'm gonna call my foster panel up, and I'm scooting over. Hold on. And I will have each of them introduce themselves and a little bit of their history, and then we'll go into some questions. So hi, Melina, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Hi, my name is Melina. I am a resource parent and adoptive parent. I was here probably about 7 years ago, like you guys, doing orientation. And I have a 12-year-old and 5-year-old adopted daughters. The 5-year-old was through Riverside County.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole, and we currently have 4 foster children in our home, 3 of which we will be adopting in the fall, all through Riverside County. And my husband and I have been doing this for about 6 years, and a total of, I think, 8 placements and 1 respite care. So welcome and thank you.
Hi, my name is Corey Maui, and I have a 15-year-old biological son and 3 adopted children that I fostered through Riverside County, ages 9, 8, and 6.
And hello again. My name is Pastor Will, care pastor here at Centerpoint Church. We have 1 daughter. She's with us today, Emma Julie Atkins. Also, that's my wife, Jocelyn Atkins. We're so excited because we're in the process of looking to enter into the system again to be a part of that solution. Okay?
And then I will start with Melina. So you adopted through foster care. Did you go into fostering wanting to adopt?
So we always wanted to foster. We actually went through several orientations before signing up, but we also wanted to adopt. So at the time, about 7 years ago, they actually made us choose if we wanted to do foster or adoption. It's not like that way anymore. Now every home is approved to foster and adopt. So at the time, we ended up having to pick, and we chose to go the adoption route first. We were called for a newborn in the hospital. She was premature and had drug exposure, very tiny. And pretty much within a week of bringing her home, we had to start visitations. And, being a first time, I was nervous and, anxious of what it would be like. And when we went to the meeting for the first visitation, her whole family had arrived. And that was really emotional for me because I was thinking these are orphans that don't have families. And she had a whole family that loved her. So we did visitations for about a year and a half. And during that time, I became very close to the family. So ultimately, her family wasn't able to reunify with her, and we ended up adopting her. But because we built that relationship with them, it's an open adoption. So my 5-year-old daughter gets to see her family and her cousins and aunts and uncles. So even though, she didn't get to reunify with them, she still has a connection to them. And since then, we have been more just resource family, and we've taken in emergency placements, and that's what we're like respite and emergency placement home now.
And what is respite?
Respite is so if you have children placed in your home and for whatever reason you're not able to take them on vacation, or you just need a break, a date night or something, we have respite homes that are licensed foster parents that will take care of the children for you during that time.
Yeah. So there is a thing, prudent parenting. So when you are fostering, you have prudent parenting where you can, get a babysitter or whatever. But anything over 24 hours, you would need another certified foster family to take care of your children. And that's what respite is. And so how many, what kind of calls are you getting now?
So after our adoption, we had a little boy for a week. We took care of him until he went to his grandma. So basically, we were just the in-between point. One kind of sad fact is if there isn't a home for a child, sometimes they sleep in the office. And that's mainly why, like, we've stayed open, just because I can't imagine having these children have to sleep at the, CPS office. So he was sleeping in the office, and we took him until they were able to contact grandma and get her approved, and then he transferred there. And then we had another placement of 2 siblings. They were 4 and 9, and they were on the reunification plan, but their foster home wasn't able to continue caring for them. So we took care of them for about 3 months until they were able to reunify with mom, and we still are in contact with the kids and the families. So, we'll drop off presents and stuff. So mostly the calls that we've received since, our adoption, most of them have been older children, like 11, 12-year-olds. We're not currently set up for older children because they have to share a room with the 5-year-old. So there is definitely a need for, homes for older children.
Great. And then that gets to Nicole. So Nicole, you are fostering a teen. So how is that? What made you want to foster a teen?
God. God made me do it, and it's been amazing. And the reason why I say that is because we originally were set up between 0 and 2. So when it was first kind of brought, it's always been on my heart, but when it was brought to us was through a family member. And so we went through the training process to be able to help a family of 3 and 1 on the way. And luckily we were able to get preventative service set up, and they didn't actually have to be removed, but it was still really big on our heart. So we went through the process, started up, got the nursery ready, bought a house, right, got some stability, and we kept on getting phone calls for older kiddos. And so we just said, God, just open our hearts, open our minds. And so when we got the phone call for our then 12-year-old, I wanted to know, what is she like? And everything that she likes is a married representation of my husband likes and my likes. And I was just like, how can I not? When you find out the story and whatnot, when we met, within 20 minutes, it was just like, yeah, you're home. And that's our oldest that is now 15, almost 16, and we will be adopting this fall. What it's like, it is amazing to be able to see a child of that age see things and experience things for the first time that normally are experiences at 2, 3 years old. To feel worthy, to feel loved, to see them help and nurture and care for others. If you know my oldest, they are super caring and super nurturing. And just to be able to not have to change a diaper is kind of cool. But to have someone that steps in and does things and you can do them with is absolutely amazing. And they're going to go far in this world. So,
Thank you, Nicole. And then Corey. So Corey on this panel is the one that started with a biological child. Okay. So I wanted to ask, what inspired you to become a foster?
Well, our foster adopt journey actually started over 16 years ago. After 9 years of trying to conceive, we were diagnosed with, we weren't trying the whole time. But, one day you wake up and you realize you've been married for 9 years and you're not pregnant. So we were diagnosed with infertility, and so we kind of, we grieved that. We did. I always just assumed, I came from a big family. My husband came from a big family. I just assumed they would show up at some point. So we started the foster adopt process back then through Riverside County on our own, just got the idea to do it, and then got pregnant. So they blessed us to go have our baby, and we did. And we also built a business during that time. So 8 years later, we kind of woke up and went we didn't really mean to have an only child. This kid's not going to be as well-rounded as one might like. So we decided that we were sitting here at Centerpoint, and they said, announced the Embrace Ministry, and they brought the county to us, which was really important because my husband actually suffers from frequent onset acute migraines. So the idea of committing to every Friday out in Riverside was really challenging to us. So I remember just sitting there and just being like that moment, right? You're like, oh, okay, we got to do this. And I looked at him, and he's like, okay, fine, you know. But, I mean, he was into it, too. And I will say that it does take two. If your spouse is not feeling it, there are other things that you can do, just to be honest with you. Don't, because parenting is challenging enough as it is, and parenting children that are adopted brings its own set of challenges, and I encourage you to be on board together. So anyway, we fostered 2 from one family and 1 from another and ended up adopting all of them. And then I closed my license. Sorry. I know that doesn't, it's just I might actually open it up for emergency basis again later, but we kind of needed to get our kids stable, and I'm the kind of person that, like, if I know there's a need, I'm gonna try to fill it. And I needed to really get my kids stabilized first. They all have trauma. They all do. They all do. Every single one of them. But they come with insurance, and you can get them into counseling young and early and get yourself into counseling. It has grown our family leaps and bounds emotionally and mental health-wise to have to address, like, we all grew up with triggers and traumas, right? We just didn't deal with them. And then now we're going through the process of healing ourselves so that we can help our children heal, and it's really remarkable.
How did you approach the foster situation to your son? Because you said, like, everyone in the family has to be in. So
Yeah,
what did you do?
Unfortunately, he didn't get as much of a vote as he might have liked, because he was pretty happy with his life as an only child. And I will say, for a couple of years after, if you ask him, like, hey, Jacob, do you like being a big brother? And he'd be like, not really. No, it's okay. But we gave him language to go with that, and we talked about it. But I will say that we had an incident where the children went back, the 2 older ones had gone back to their former foster family for a brief period of time, and he was heartbroken. So he could have told you he didn't like sharing his mommy and daddy with these crazies, but when they left, he was like, you should have taken better care of them. Because, you know, adoption is like, well, when the family can't take care of their babies, then another family comes in and helps them out. And so then he was like, you screwed up. These babies are gone because you did something wrong. I'm like, well, not exactly. So we processed through that together, and I'm really grateful that he had space to be like, I hate this, but I love these kids, and I just, you know, like, working through it. And I will say, at 15, he's a phenomenal big brother. He loves those kids so much. The 9-year-old is a boy, and quite frankly, more athletic than all of us put together. So they really are very bonded and very much, the boys especially are very, very connected. And he's mature, and he's a leader, and he wants to be a teacher, and all these things that I don't think he would have ever even thought of if he never had any conflict in his life, right? That he had to work through what it meant to be a good big brother. And it's been amazing for our family.
I did know, so one of the things that I discovered, I don't like to talk. I like to push that stuff down. But when you go into this process, you are exposed to, like, how do we talk? How do we get this? And I feel like it brings your family together because you are forced to talk about it.
Communication is so important.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
so important. So
Everything.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Pastor Will. So, Pastor Will, you, like the other 3 went through the county. You went through a foster family agency.
Yes.
How was that experience?
Yes, you know, one of the things that's super important, particularly as you will see in the process, that there are several agencies even within our Tri-Valley area that are available, but even more widespread here in Southern California, is certainly being able to take that opportunity to view their website. Many of them offer what we would call interview programs, where you can actually sit down and talk with them about the services that they provide. And some of those services are very robust and comprehensive, and others are very directive. And so what was really important for my wife and I when we were looking around at various agencies is it comprehensive? Is it able to meet the needs of our family? We are older parents to be at that time. And then also, do they work well with the agencies, that is, with the county and the state agencies related to that program. And we wanted to make sure, because obviously we are somewhat new to the Southern California area. My wife is Canadian, but a permanent resident. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't come across any barriers that would impede our process of being a part of the solution and adding to our wonderful family.
And so it's kind of, you're the only guy up there, so
Yes.
you get to share. There's guys out here to give us your perspective of fostering.
Well, gentlemen, I can tell you the greatest honor that I have in my life is being able to be the father of Emma Julie Atkins. Every day that I look at her, I think about so many things that I have been a part of in my life that have been hopefully part of the solution of our community and our nation, as we see so many different things happening in so many of our homes that are fatherless. And so to be able to say that every day I wake up to make sure that my daughter has all that she needs to be an effective person, that she's going to grow up knowing a mother and a father that is engaged with her, is an immense blessing. Now, from a biblical point of view, which was important to me, I found myself looking in the scriptures to look for a precedence that I can attach myself to say, not only is this something that is in my heart, but then I also see that heart attached to what God has done. And we look no further than the Holy Gospels. Remember Joseph? Joseph was adopted Christ Jesus as his son. And so when we think about that, you know, we can say, wow, it's wonderful to be that parent that has a person that looks like us and acts like us and is us. But we also have those unique opportunities to be able to accept the child that, regardless of the difference, as you can see the obvious difference between Emma Julie Atkins and myself. She didn't get my color, but she got my talk and personality. So you will be really surprised from a guy perspective is that there's a biblical precedence, and we can see that in the Holy Gospel, but also more importantly, that you are engaged in the rearing or the upbringing of that child so that they have an effective and a wonderful and a loving and compassionate man in their life that will teach them that they are of value and of worth, and you can do that.
So good. So whenever I see a couple come up, and the men are always hesitant. They're like, I don't want, because, you know, men want to protect. And they're like, I don't want to introduce anything new to my family that's going to hurt my wife's feelings, you know. But at the same time, in my experience, a lot of our kids have very few dads. They all have moms, but very few dads around, and even fewer that are positive, strong men who we can be modeled, mentored. So thank you so much. And whenever, so it helps. Is there anything that you guys want to, as we wrap up, to add up?
I just wanted to comment on what he said. Foster care is hard. It's tough, but it's definitely worth it. Like him, I wake up every day and look at my children and think, you know, I am so honored to get to be their parent and be there every moment with them. So it's definitely work. You know, we had the sibling set that were 4 and 9, and that was really difficult, but I don't regret it at all. I was able to make a great relationship with these 2 children and have a huge impact on their life and show them that they mattered, and that is a big deal. So I definitely don't regret any of it, and it's definitely worth it, but it is work. I mean, it's where you're healing hearts and families, so it's a big deal.
Okay, so the biggest thing that I can say is you're here for a reason. God has you here for a reason. Your husband, your wife, someone brought you here. You brought yourself here. And so I would just be open to questions, be open to discernment and asking those questions. So right now we currently have a 15-year-old, a 9, a 2.5, and a 6-month-old. All different families, all different nationalities and backgrounds. To be able to have a relationship with their families, as Melina has mentioned, is empowering. Our third one, we have had since she was 8 days old. We wanted to have a great relationship with their family, and they have accepted that. And reunification was not a possibility. We have a open communication, And I cannot imagine our life without not just her, but her entire family, both mom and dad's side, aunts, uncles, and her tribe. We are actually going next week to Disneyland for the second time with our family. And what we have learned and what we've grown through that as a concurrent home, Tiffany had mentioned like having the possibility of either being plan A, plan B, plan C. I think we were all of those at one point for that specific child. And the advocacy that comes along with it, there is so much to navigate, but there are so many resources out there. So I just encourage you to understand that you can be a resource for a family, you can be a resource for a child, you can be a resource for your church and your community, and there's a reason that you're here. So thank you for that.
Okay, I'm gonna speak to the flip side of that exact coin. In our case, our children were not safe with their biological family, and I will introduce them to their grandmother someday. They know that that's going to happen, but she was creating an environment wherein they were being given access to family members that were not safe for them to be around, and I understand from her mom's heart that she wanted to do that so she could keep her family intact in a way that made sense for her. So if you will have a choice, if you go the adoption route, you will be given all the information they can possibly give you and say, okay, these are going to be your children, you need to decide. So we agreed to sibling contact, which we haven't. All of their siblings have been adopted by other families that we're aware of. Our older two are 1 and 2 of 4. Our youngest is number 5 of 6 that we're aware of. So if the siblings ever wanted to find us, we have given the county all of our information for that. And we did close the adult members of the family off from our kids for the time being because our son at 2.5 was not okay with all the back and forth. He was really struggling with identity and belonging and safety. And his inner world was very chaotic, and we needed a few years to calm that down. But they all know that someday we're going to reintroduce them to their family, and you're going to be given the choice of what you think is right and safe and good for your kids. I will say be in community, though. Be in a church or wherever you find people. You're going to need people. And I will say that we have amazing opportunities for support here and throughout the valley. Rancho in Temecula also has an amazing what is it called? Replanted and foster adopt support group. Be in a group. Don't try to do this by yourself. You're going to need people.
You know, just a quick comment, as you have heard from many of our panelists, there's lots of resources available. As Care Pastor, I work with oftentimes other ministries in other states, and not only just with CP Go and CP Embrace, but just all of the different connectivity points that will allow you to be successful as prospective, adoptive, and or foster parents, or even respite. And I just invite you to truly dig in and ask those questions. Let this be a journey for you. It doesn't have to be done quickly, but it has to be done with a sense of productivity that will allow you to understand all of the wonderful things that are available for you right here in the state of California. I don't know of any other state that provides as much wealth of resources. My wife and I still discover new things every day. Medical, mental, emotional support, advocacy programs that are designed and are specifically focused by either Riverside County or certainly the state of California toward the families. And lastly, I will say this real quickly. As a parent, our job is to bring about stability and vitality and sustainability and love and compassion to our children. And as we've seen, and you will hear testimonies from here on out, you will see children that you were tailor-made to bless. And I bless you all to receive that in Jesus' name. Whether you come a part of our church or any other faith-based organization, or maybe you're just a part of our community, I bless you, and I want to release that blessing in Jesus' name, that you are a part of the solution, and you can make a magnificent difference in a child's life, whether it be temporary or permanent. But all that you do will have an impact
on the overall vitality of our community. In Jesus' name.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to give a hand to our panel. That will take us to a break. We'll take a 5-minute break and then come back in here. If there aren't any Spanish speaking, we'll have the orientation in there and in that room, and then otherwise come back here in 5 minutes, and then I'm going to tell you what we can offer you as support and what the process looks like. Does everybody know where the restrooms are? They're right out here. I thought I heard somebody.
On the altar, surrendered again. Freely I lay down my everything. 'Cause this is my honor, the gifts that I bring. I will be a living sacrifice, all my heart and soul to glorify. I offer nothing less than all my life for Jesus Christ. I just wanna bless you, whatever it takes, with my mind and my body, my spirit and strength. If you are a fire,
Okay, we are going to get started here. So we can make our way back to the tables. I hope you're enjoying the morning so far and hope the panelists gave you inspiration, encouragement. But we are going to get into the brief PowerPoint presentation on foster care, and then we'll have some Q&A afterwards. So we'll come on in and we'll get ready here in about a minute.
Hi, everyone. You saw that lunch is, you have to sit through this boring PowerPoint. I mean, this awesome PowerPoint for you to get a sandwich. So, work for your lunch, literally. So come on in. It's funny as my kids hear, I work from home and my office is in the front of the house and my kids hear me all the time. So I think I'm tempted to get one of them to come out here and see if they can do this presentation without me. So, we'll go ahead and start. I know everybody's just trickling in. I'll wait till my first slide comes up. There we are. Okay, so this is going to be like a really short presentation of what to expect. You met the foster families, you spoke with, or Tiffany explained the process of how the children are going to come into your home, but now what that looks like. So before we start though, we're going to talk about understanding a few things. The first one is understanding yourself. And by that I mean, what are your motivations to do this, and what is your capabilities? Because sometimes, you want to say, I want to say yes to everyone. Like, they call me, and I'm like, yes. And then my husband, who's right over there, he says no. So our trick when we were fostering is the phone calls go to him, because then he could say yes or no. Because one time we were driving home, and the phone rang, and it was on Bluetooth in the car, and they're like, we have 3 sibling sets. And I said, no, we can't do that. How old are they? No, we can't do it. We cannot do that. So know your capabilities and know your motivation, because what your motivation is and letting us know what your motivation will help you find the right child to go into your room, into your home. The next thing is your family. Everyone in your family has to have this desire. They have to, because once a child comes into your home, they'll know if you're going to welcome them, if they feel welcome in there. And you don't want to pull someone from one home to another home that doesn't want them, so make sure that the whole family is in. And I know there's like dads and some siblings that may be off, but yeah, it just helps. And then the next is the child that's coming into. They are going to have trauma. We all have trauma. Sometimes it's trauma with a capital T, and sometimes it's trauma with a little t, but they will have that because, as Tiffany explained, their home situation has to be really dire and unsafe for them to be moved out. And the biological family, I will sandwich, pun intended, I will sandwich this presentation talking about bio family, because they are not the bad guys. They have just made hard choices. You don't know their cycle. You don't know. And fostering, you will stop that cycle. You will introduce a lifestyle, a home life that is what it should be. So, and a little experience for myself, my first placement was an 8-month-old and a 2-year-old. And they came, my 2-year-old came in with bruises all over him. And the mama bear in me was like, that's it. In our first visit, I was going to let this mama have it. I'm like, why didn't you protect your child? I walk into that visiting room, and she's a 19-year-old girl. She needed a mama. So the next 8 months, I mentored the mom and and took care of her children while we were doing that. So the biological family, please know that they're not the bad guys. They're just, and they're part of this family. They're part of their history. And then lastly, when we're finished with this presentation, you will have a full understanding of the foster care system, which is, as much as you can. So what is foster care? It is, of course, it's when a child is removed from their home, and then we bring them in to be safe. And the role of the county social worker, Tiffany had mentioned, is developing and overseeing the programs and services for children at risk. And so I want to go into myths that you have to own a home. That is not true. You have to have a home, like somewhere to live, and you can rent, and it doesn't have to be, it could be an apartment or anything like that. You have to be married. That is not true. You can be single. There's a lot of single parents. We are here to help you find the support system that you need if you are a single parent. You have to be rich? No. But you will have to be able to provide for the child and prove that you have income coming in so that this child will be safe in your home. And last, you have to go it alone. And that is not true. We at Faith in Motion, everyone that works at Faith in Motion have or is fostering and have adopted. So we have learned the process, we know the process, and we will stay with you the whole time, from the very beginning all the way through placement, through adoption, and beyond. And so what your process looks like. So the first thing is after today, and you're ready to move forward, what we'll do is we'll do a more in-depth conversation. What we'll have is we'll ask exactly what you want, what you're looking for, because every family is different, what your needs are different, so we get to know you, and we have a few questions to ask from you. Next, you will fill out an application. Regardless of what county you're in, the whole state of California has one application. We'll have you fill it out and send it in to us. After that, we will introduce you to a foster family agency. So this is what's unique with Riverside County. I have a relationship with all foster family agencies in Riverside County. And just like families, FFAs are different. Some are tiny and want to stay tiny and small. Some are big and have full array of resources. And one example of that is I went to visit 3 FFAs one day, and I went into the first one, and it was like a little dark, it was warm, there was doilies, I'm sure there was potpourri somewhere, and it was like, okay, I get it, and so it's warm, I wanted to take a nap on the couch. Later on that day, I went to another FFA, and it was clean, it was white, it was a little chilly, everything was high-tech, and everything was like, there was a class going on, and I couldn't hear it. I'm like, there's a class going on? And it was like efficient. I was like, okay. And the following week, I went into a family that was interested in fostering, and I went to go do an interview with them. I go into her home, and it was white. It was clean. It had schedules, and I'm like, I know the exact FFA that will suit you. So that's our job, is once we get to know you, you give us your application, we will talk to you and say, these are what I think is the best FFAs for you. And then you get to choose. Again, if you find another FFA and you're like, what do you think of this guy? I have an opinion. So I will tell you what's good and what's not. And it may be good for you. And I also, getting to know the FFA, I know what families they want. I know an FFA that won't accept families that only take one placement child. They want multiple placements. So if you want just one child, I'm not going to send you over there because you guys are going to work out. So I'm kind of a matchmaker. And then once you're with the FFA, I stay with you, and then I stay with the FFA, and I'm like, how are they doing? What do you need? What's going on? And I help both of you guys to be successful. And so the next one is what an FFA is. And like I mentioned, there's over 45. It changes every year because Riverside County approves which one they want to work with, so they give me the list, and so I work with all of them. But we will guide you through the whole process. Once you're with an FFA, what are the basic requirements? And the first thing is orientation. So that was another thing. During the interview, I get a taste, like what you guys are and what you need. So some FFAs require 50 hours of certification to get, 50 hours of training to get certified. Some require 12. So I need to know, like, and I'm sure some of you are like, who wants to pick an FFA that needs 50 hours? This girl. I need all the information. I will do 50 hours so that I know that I'm fully in. But I have some families that go, give me 12, I know what to do, let's go. So you'll have orientation, so sometimes that's 2 days, sometimes that's 3 hours, sometimes that's one-on-one, it depends on the FFA. I talked about the training. You'll have to go through training through them. They will look at your home. They'll make sure that your home is safe and ready for a child. Now, I've had a question like, do I have to change everything in my home? No. What I call, what I call them is not bad ideas. So one of the things is if you have a 2-story house, you have to have a fire extinguisher in each floor. You don't have one right now, I'm sure, but it's not a bad idea. So they tell you that you have to lock your knives. Again, not a bad idea. They'll have you create a fire emergency plan so that if there's a fire, you have a plan, you have a map and everything. Again, you probably don't have that right now, but it's not a bad idea. Like, kids, we're gonna meet over by the tree. So it's just one of those things. So they'll check your home, and if you come across any problems or issues, call me, and I can help you through that if something doesn't make sense. If you have a pool, you're gonna need a fence or some kind of safety feature. Everyone over the age of 18 in your home, brothers, older son, kids and stuff, anyone over 18 will have to go through a live scan. And then you will have to do a CPR class, which again, not a bad idea. So what are the timelines for that? So I tell everyone, timelines, this is your timing. So I don't encourage it, but I have some families that came to me in 2019 and said, I want to foster, and I'm like, okay, they're still not ready. I still check in on them, are you ready? But I also had a 2019 family who just got certified. And you guys may have experienced that COVID thing kind of put a little wrench in the whole works of everything. So this is all your timing. But with us, what you will do is we'll do the interview, all that stuff, and get to know you. Next, you will be with the agency. That, again, is your timing. It's between 3 to 6 months to get all your training done, to get everything that you need to get done. And then, as Tiffany said, it takes about 12 to 24 months to get, for them to place you, and then if you do want to adopt, how that works. And so when you start to foster, there are 3 things that you'll get. You'll get a monthly stipend. It's never enough. So you're not going into this, but it's just, it's a nice monthly stipend. Next, the kids come fully insured, medical and dental. So you won't have to worry about using your own insurance, and they'll come with that. And then, of course, they'll also have support services. Because they come in with trauma, Riverside County will help you to get them through that trauma. And so this last, or second to last slide, is what I like to call what we cover everything. So this is like questions about, what about schools? Your child, if you get a school-aged child, they will go to the school in your neighborhood. Wherever your kids are going, that's where they'll go. They can go to you can homeschool if you're crazy, but they have to be a charter school. But yes, you can also homeschool your children. Melina, do you homeschool? I know you're crazy. And then next is the living spaces. That's part of the home assessment. So pools, pets. We'll need to know like what kind of pets you have. So if you have any terrier mixes, we'll need to know that. So kind of know what kind of pets you have. Family visitations. This goes back to, it's so important. Now, if you're with an FFA, our FFA, if we couldn't do it, they would do our visits for us. But I highly recommend you guys to do your visitations with your child, because that's how you get to know that family. You get to know your child's history. You get to see what's going on and what happened. And then your child will see the relationship that you're creating with their family. And then vacations, so my husband is from Montana, so every summer we go to Montana, and all you have to do is put a request in and they approve it. And Riverside wants you to treat these children like your own. So you go to vacations, you do all the stuff with them. And then lastly, like I said, I sandwich them with bio parents, because I just want to make sure you guys understand that they are not the bad guys. They are part of your child's family. They're part of your child's history, and how you manage that will be seen by your child. So it's really important. And so that is it. Are you ready to love a child? So do you guys have, am I asking questions? Okay, does anybody have any questions? Oh, go on. Do it.
Oh, sorry. How about international?
Okay, I love that you asked that question, because, correct. Carefully. Well, the thing is again, like I said, it's not life-changing, it's just not bad ideas. Like, if you have your own children, you wouldn't have medication out. Like, I wouldn't have ibuprofen out on the table when my children are out. So they would be put away. I can't speak for San Bernardino, but I know that Riverside County is pretty, it's not very hard. And I love that you're like, I love that you said that it's hard, because I want to address, like, it's hard. Yeah, I get it. That's not true. I have laundry detergent. I don't do the laundry, but we have laundry detergent, right? Yeah, so I think you just have to, like, baby-proof. So my own children, I never baby-proof, but with foster kids, you do have to baby-proof. So that is, I don't know about San Bernardino, but you can have laundry detergent. Panel, is that correct? Are you guys washing your clothes? Okay, good. Okay. Butter knives, I don't think have to be put away. I never put them away. Butter knives, but.
Okay. So they want to see that everything is put away. So even, it doesn't necessarily have to be locked. It can be like put up. I've seen that where, like, if you have a high cupboard, as long as it's not accessible to the children. They still have it like a baby-proof idea, and it's like, well, if it's put away, it's up, technically they should know better not to get to it. But it's just, they need to see safety. They need to see, like, the children won't be able to ingest the soap. They won't be able to get the knives to hurt themselves or someone else, you know, and that's basically what those regulations are for. Are they checking that every month? No. They do that so that when you show that you can put them away, essentially. And you do that for the regulation, you get certified, and we're not asking that it be put away like all the time. We know you have to use those things, but if as long as it's not accessible to the child, that's essentially what they're looking for.
That was one of my big hangups when we first started the process. I didn't want to alter the house and make it look super like a daycare. But they sell really cool things at Lowe's that you just use a magnet and lock things, and you get really good at using it, and it's like a little key. You can't even tell it's there.
Well, San Bernardino might be different. We're not like that in Riverside. Yeah, we just, go ahead.
Thank you so much for being here. It's awesome to have a lot of questions that I've had in my mind for years answered. So I appreciate all of your work, and your work is hard work, and so thank you for doing it. My question is around ICWA, Indian Child Welfare Act. I know that there are many kids that need homes. I'm open to anyone who needs a home, but in particular, ICWA. Does someone who adopts or fosters Indian child have to have an enrollment with their tribe? I'm Navajo, but I'm not enrolled with my tribe. So is that a limitation, or could I still be a home for a child who's a tribal member?
So I have,
I was gonna say, no, you don't need to be registered with the tribe. There's two populations that are severely overrepresented in foster care, and it's African American and Native American children. Basically, it's Nicole, right? It's what Nicole said, is that you just have to go the extra steps because the tribe has to bless it. With the ICWA, they just pretty much say like they have extra protection, so the tribe gets first pick. But if you're willing and open, and you're whatever they need, if you're willing to keep them involved with the tribe, open to the family, those are the main things that they look for. Yeah.
Anybody? Oh, yes.
Okay, I'm 45% Chumash tribe from Santa Barbara, Santa Ynez. I not enrolled with my tribe. I don't say I hang around with, but the ones that, the Luiseño band at Soboba, that's where I go. I have my rattles and I partake in their festivities and everything else. I try to be as active as I can as a Native American, my heritage, and my Native American heritage, and also my Mexican heritage. I would like to know also if I could adopt a Native child, how hard would that be? I'm not enrolled in my tribe either because they're far away.
But you would be, the process is there. Again, and also I want to, before we end, not every case is different. Every child is different. My children I adopted came together as two sibling set, and then one of them got reunified. So we can't exactly tell you on the board what your family's going to look like, but we are here with you to help you through that. So if you do come across that, you call us if you need any help. That really is what Faith in Motion really wants you to know, is we will be with you. We will have the resources. We have the contract straight with DPSS so that we can get your answers for you if you need that. I'm sure you guys, sure. Right. Right. Sure, and I know Kathy's freaking out because of the time, but I'm going to answer the question. No, it's me. Let me answer a couple things that you have. When Aaron and I came into fostering with 3 biological children, 7, 5, and 4, or something like that. And we were both active duty in the Air Force. So we went in and told our commander, we want to foster. You have to, when you go into fostering, you almost need to shout it on the rooftop so that everyone knows you're fostering, so that they can give you the support. And I have never in my experience go, oh, you foster? I don't ever get that. They're like, what do you need? So the support is there. For placements so we went in to adopt a 3-year-old little girl, and God changed my heart, and so we were saying yes to everyone. And they were different ages. I got a phone call, said, will you take an 8-year-old girl? We have to remove her from her current foster home because she's slamming her brother's head on the ground. And I went, no. That was violent. I was, no. But something inside of me, something inside me said, ask more questions. I asked more questions. So I said, how is she at school? And they're like, oh, she's fine at school. I said, oh, okay. We said yes. She came to our home, and I was on high alert, like I'm making sure that no violence comes about. That wasn't her story. That was a story that was put on her. It turned out that the foster mom wanted to adopt the baby brother and not her, so she was punished all the time, and so she felt that way and all that stuff. And so not all homes are good, but I found that once they came into our home, I felt no risk of violence. These kids have never experienced love. Or, I take that back. They've experienced love, but not the kind of love I feel like I could give them. And when you are told that you are worthy and you're respected and you're loved, you act that way. And I think our kids, everyone that's come through our home, I hope, have felt loved and seen how life can be. And so the chance of violence, I guess there's a chance of violence in any situation nowadays, but I never experienced that. I'm looking at my foster panel to see if they felt that way, but it's a true and honest fear. And so if that ever comes up, come to us and we can help you through that and see. They do, you will get all the support. Like some of the kids that come that need a lot more help, they'll get wraparound services. You'll get you'll get the help. You'll get we're here to help you be successful. And so there's no fear in that. And that's when the assessment interview comes in. When we're talking and I go, oh, you need an FFA that is full service. You don't need that small FFA that's going to just take, So I'll know which one will be best for you. Yes. Wait, are you Tambi? Hi. Well, that's up to the social worker, but here's what I do. I tell all my families, well, back in the old, it's been a long, so I do a deal breaker list. Like, I have a list of things, when I get a phone call and I ask, where are the visits? And that's a deal breaker. I can't do it. And I want to tell you guys, like, you are saying the big yes. The biggest yes, you'll probably say, you're welcoming a child into your home. But don't be afraid to say no to a child if it's not a good fit for you, if it's not something you can do, if it's not something you can commit to. My job is to find a family that will say yes to that child. So don't feel bad, because I like to think I'm good at my job, so I will find more families to say yes to that one that can do the visits and banning. But that is one of the things, is ask the deal breaker questions. Well, if that's all the questions, I wanted to, so for some of you, I'm sure you're ready, like you're ready to sign. We have applications for you. But if you guys are still like kind of feeling it out or whatever, we are partnered with other organizations. We are partnered with other organizations that can also help foster families and foster children. And that could get you into a step in. If I can have you guys step up here. Put the baby down. I'd like you to introduce yourself and what your organization does, and then we can break for lunch.
Thank you. Did you guys already, I came a little bit late. It's your birthday. Did she say that yet? Did you guys already sing? No? Happy birthday. I was like, she's there on her birthday? Happy birthday. Thank you guys all for coming. I love that you guys are all thinking about bringing a kid into your home. Like she said, not all of us are called to do that, and so we'll talk about a couple other things that you can do if you're not ready to take that leap. But I was adopted through foster care, so I encourage you guys to bring kids into your home. There's not a lot of us that make it out on the other side to talk about it, so she shared with you so beautifully. It is a tough road, but everybody deserves a home, and everybody deserves to be loved, so I hope you guys are open to it. I work for an organization called Care Portal, and what Care Portal is it's a technology platform that people use to connect the people that need help with the people that want to help. So we have churches signed up to just receive notifications that there's a child or family in need. And that's it. We're nationwide. We have 60 churches in Riverside signed up. Centerpoint is one of them. So if you attend this church or attend another church, you can get signed up just to receive notifications. You can wrap around foster parents. So all of you guys that are thinking about becoming foster parents, those needs can go into the system to support you. I am out there if you guys need any more information, but just an example, some of the needs that go in can be to help keep a family together, so to stop a kid from entering foster care. It could be to help make a foster placement. So if one of you guys want to bring in a sibling set, you need some bunk beds, you need some extra sheets, that need can go in and the church can wrap around you and support. Gas cards for traveling, for meetings, visitations, sorry. And then there's also, you can help to support a reunification case, or you can help a child aging out of foster care. So I encourage you to, like she said, sign up to become a foster adopt parent, and also sign up to wrap around families. Thanks.
Happy birthday. Hi, everyone. My name is Kathy Shaner. I work with Voices for Children. We are the Court-Appointed Special Advocate, or CASA program for short. And we are appointed by the courts of Riverside County to match a CASA volunteer with a child that's in foster care. So the CASA is able to take the child out on outings, get to know them, take them out to lunch, take them to a museum, and then get to know them, and then they advocate for the child's safety, whatever the child may need to be successful and happy while in foster care, directly to the judge, the attorney, and the social worker. And the one unique thing about the CASA program is that no matter where the child is moved, that CASA stays with that child. So whether they start in Indio and move to Riverside, the CASA stays with them. So they oftentimes become the most consistent adult in the child's life while they're in foster care. So this is a great avenue if you're not ready to become a foster parent yet. And then also, if you are ready to become a foster parent, you can also put in a referral for a child to have an advocate. So again, I have a booth outside as well. So if you have any questions or would like more information, or if you would like to book us as a speaker, please come by and see me. Thank you.
Well, and then I'll call Kathy up here to close out the day.
Thank you, Irene. Well, and thank you, ladies, with our booths out there. And thank you again to all of you who came out this morning to learn more about foster care adoption. We have lunch for you out there. We encourage you, if you have more questions, we are here. Come back in here, have lunch, visit the booths. If you need to go, feel free to go. But thank you again for coming, and I hope this morning encouraged you and to maybe think about more, taking the next step to foster adopt. And have a wonderful rest of your day.
to trust you, Jesus, to know you, I mean really know you, Father, Son, and Holy Shepherd, a love so deep, it can't be measured, a love that's real. A love that's weathered. I could never count the times you stayed faithful while my heart was compromised. You held me close each time I cried. When the last thing I deserved was sacrifice. How sweet it is to trust you, Jesus, to know you, I mean really know you, Father. There's not a thing that's hidden, and every eye is on you. Can't get enough of your presence. Perfect point of view, isn't it just like heaven? Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. Doesn't it sound like heaven when you're singing over me? There's not a voice more constant, 'cause your melodies, they never cease. So here I will stand in your presence, in my true identity. Doesn't it sound like, yeah, it sounds like, just like heaven. Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. Come a little closer, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. You're such a perfect Father. I worship you forever. Holy, you are holy. Now lay down any treasure for us to be. He's holy, holy. Come on, you are. You're such a perfect Father. I worship you forever. Holy, you are holy. I lay for us to be together. Come a little closer, stay a little longer. So I can't get enough of you. Tell her now, stay a little longer. I can't get enough of you. I can't get enough, I can't get enough. I just want more of you, I can't get enough, I just can't get enough. Come a little closer. The voices sing, oh. There's nothing like your nearness. There's nothing like your closeness. Yeah, 'cause when I'm with you, I come alive, I come alive. Oh, just worship him now. tonight. There's nothing like your nearness. Hey, heaven come a little closer tonight. Heaven come a little closer tonight. Heaven come a little closer tonight. Heaven come, I feel the fullness of life. Oh, heaven come a little closer tonight. Heaven come, I feel the fullness of life. So heaven come a little closer tonight. Hey, heaven we just love your presence. We love your presence. We love your presence. We love the sound of you singing over me. The sound of you singing over me. It's freeing me, freeing me. See those chains hit the ground, yeah. Oh, the sound of you singing over me. It's the sound of you singing over me. It's setting me free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sing holy. Holy, you are holy. And you're such a I worship you. Holy, the perfect Father. Holy, I'll lay down anything for us to. There's none more holy. You are. Yeah, saints, sing it. And I'll worship. There's none more holy. You are holy. Now lay down any treasure for us to be together. Oh, come a little closer, stay a little. 'Cause I can't get enough of you. Oh, come a little closer, stay a little longer. Oh, I can't get enough of you. All my words fall short. I've got nothing new. How could I express all my gratitude? I could sing